From childhood, we were wrapped in comforting illusions, stories, movies, and gentle family advice that taught us love is supposed to feel like permanent closeness, constant reassurance, and endless emotional availability. But beneath those warm narratives lies a brutal psychological truth. Human desire doesn't thrive in comfort, it suffocates in it. Most men don't discover this until they're standing in the ruins of a relationship they unknowingly smothered with kindness, attention, and self-sacrifice. Years of trying to be the perfect partner slowly strip away a man's identity until he becomes something he never intended to be: predictable, safe, and invisible. And the cruel twist, the more he tries to prove his love, the less he is valued. Because the human brain instinctively devalues anything it receives in endless, effortless abundance. What if the very behaviors men are taught to believe are loving, constant closeness, constant texting, constant agreement, are actually destroying the attraction they desperately want to protect? If this feels uncomfortable, good, because the truth you're about to hear will flip everything you know about relationships upside down. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. I once knew a man, let's call him Mike, who genuinely believed devotion meant erasing himself to keep his wife happy. He drowned her in constant attention, endless messages, unnecessary apologies, and a desperate need for approval, never realizing that his love had quietly turned into emotional suffocation. Instead of gratitude, he received irritation. Instead of connection, he got distance, because he had unknowingly broken one of the oldest psychological laws of human behavior. We stop valuing what is always available. Slowly, she no longer saw a man with a spine. She saw a predictable machine, programmed to please her. A background presence that needed her more than it respected itself. To her, he became emotional wallpaper, useful, familiar, and completely uninteresting. The kind of presence that creates comfort but kills desire. And as painful as it was, Mike couldn't understand why his devotion felt repulsive to the woman he loved most. But the truth behind her reaction is darker and far more primal than most men ever dare to admit. What Mike never realized is that when a man gives too much, too fast, without being asked, the female brain interprets it as hidden insecurity rather than genuine love. On a subconscious level, she felt his fear, the fear of losing her, the fear of not being enough, the fear of being replaced, and that fear instantly stripped him of the masculine presence she once admired. Psychology calls this value collapse. When someone treats you like their entire world, you automatically assume they have no world of their own. And the moment she sensed that Mike was driven by anxiety instead of confidence, her body responded with the oldest evolutionary instinct: pull away from weakness. It wasn't cruelty, it was survival psychology. The silent calculation every human makes when choosing who they can follow, trust, or desire. The sad part, Mike was trying to love her, but she was experiencing him as a burden she never asked to carry. But the real twist comes when you learn what women actually want from a man, emotionally. And it is the opposite of what most men are taught. Most men think women want constant reassurance, non-stop attention, and a man who makes her feel like she's his entire purpose. But psychology shows the opposite. A woman feels safest, most attracted, and most emotionally connected when a man has a defined sense of self that exists beyond her. She wants to feel chosen, not needed, valued, not worshipped, desired, not depended on. Because in deep female psychology, desire grows when she feels a man's world is full, but he invites her in, not clings to her as if she's the only light he has. This balance creates polarity. She feels his strength, his direction, his inner groundedness, and she responds with trust and attraction instead of pressure and emotional fatigue. Men like Mike lose women not because they are too nice, but because they abandon themselves in the process of loving someone else. But here's the shocking truth. Women don't fall for men who try to be perfect. They fall for men who embody something far more rare. What women truly crave isn't perfection, it's emotional certainty. the kind of grounded masculinity that doesn't wobble when challenged or ignored. A man becomes irresistible when his actions come from inner alignment. Not fear, not validation seeking, and not the desperate hope of being enough for her. She trusts him when she sees that his values stay solid even when she pulls away, tests him or becomes emotional. Because stability in chaos is the deepest form of attraction. This is the energy that separates men she respects from men she tolerates, men she pursues from men she outgrows. Ironically, the moment Mike stopped chasing, stopped overgiving, and started rebuilding himself, his presence became more magnetic than his old efforts ever were. Because when a man values himself first, the world, including the women he once lost, begins to value him differently. And that's why attractive men never needed that common dating rule. Their value comes from within, not from permission or approval. When Mike finally stopped performing for approval, something unexpected happened. He began noticing how much of his identity had been built on avoiding rejection rather than embracing authenticity. For the first time, he questioned why he believed love required self-abandonment, and the answer cut deeper than he expected. He had confused being needed with being worthy. This realization triggered a psychological shift, because once a man sees the difference between connection and dependency, he can no longer tolerate relationships where he must shrink to be loved. He started setting boundaries not to push her away, but to protect the parts of himself he had spent years silencing. And strangely, the more he reclaimed his sense of self, the more she felt drawn back toward him, responding not to his effort, but to his renewed confidence. It wasn't manipulation, it was alignment, the natural gravitational pull that happens when a man stops orbiting others and returns to his own center. But the real breakthrough came when he discovered the one mindset shift that permanently changes how women perceive a man. And most men never learn it. The mindset shift that changed everything for Mike was understanding that a man's value is not proven by how much he gives, but by how little he needs in return. When he stopped tying his self-worth to her reactions, he became the version of himself she once admired, calm, grounded, and unshakably present. This detachment didn't make him cold. It made him clear, and clarity in a man is one of the strongest psychological triggers for female trust and attraction. He no longer panicked when she pulled away, because he finally understood that distance is not rejection, it's a natural rhythm in human connection. Instead of chasing her emotions, he held his own, creating a dynamic where she felt safe enough to come toward him on her own terms. And once she felt that stability, her desire returned, not because he fought for her, but because he stopped fighting himself. But the true transformation happens next. When a woman senses this shift, her behavior changes in a way most men would never expect. When a woman senses a man has reclaimed his inner stability, something profound begins to shift inside her. Her defenses soften, her curiosity awakens, and her emotional guard quietly drops. She starts studying him again, not because she doubts him, but because she feels a change she can't fully explain. A shift from emotional neediness to masculine certainty. This is when she begins leaning in, sending subtle signals, testing his energy not out of manipulation, but out of a deep instinct to confirm that his transformation is real. Her tone changes, her body language opens, and suddenly the same woman who once felt overwhelmed by his attention now feels strangely pulled toward him. It's the paradox men never learn. When you stop chasing, you create the space for her attraction to breathe again. And the more she feels his emotional independence, the more her respect and desire naturally rebuild themselves, without force, pressure, or scripted dating rules. But the final shift is the most powerful. It's the moment she stops seeing him as the man she outgrew and starts seeing him as the man she could lose. That moment when she realizes she could lose him is where her entire behavioral pattern shifts, often without her even noticing. She begins initiating more, asking deeper questions, and paying closer attention, because fear of loss activates a different part of the female psyche than fear of abandonment. Instead of assuming he'll always be there, she starts wondering who he's becoming, what he's thinking, and whether she still has a place in his evolving world. This quiet uncertainty sparks a renewed desire, because nothing awakens attraction faster than realizing a man is no longer emotionally dependent on her presence. She becomes more intentional, more affectionate, even more competitive, because women value what they must earn, not what sits passively waiting. For the first time, she sees him as a man with direction, purpose, and self-respect, not a man orbiting her emotions. But the final chapter reveals the ultimate truth, why the strongest relationships are built not on chasing or withdrawing, but on something far more powerful and rare. The ultimate truth is this: a strong, lasting relationship is never built on desperation, constant availability, or emotional dependency. It is built on the magnetism of two whole individuals choosing each other. When a man reclaims his boundaries, his purpose, and his inner life, he no longer exists as a convenience in her world. He becomes a prize she must actively value. Distance in this context is not rejection. It is the oxygen that allows desire, respect, and deep emotional connection to breathe freely. If the relationship has life, she will return, drawn by the power of a man who stands firmly in himself and invites her into a shared orbit rather than clinging to her gravity. If it doesn't, distance exposes the truth immediately, saving years of wasted emotional energy on a connection that was never mutual. This is why the strongest attraction always comes from self-sufficiency, purpose, and authenticity, the traits most men abandon in the name of love. When you finally embody this, you stop being a follower of rules and become the man every woman subconsciously desires. And the next video will show exactly how to maintain this powerful life.